Inglorious Basterds challenges films of this genre. Most action movies have a general rule that the main character has to be stronger and smarter than everyone else. We look up to him. We admire him. We want to be like him. We're used to seeing the secret agent infiltrate the villains, find out what they're up to, outwit everyone, and foil any plot. He's the initiator and the driving force behind the story. In Inglourious Basterds, it's the other way around. The villain is smarter than any of the heroes, and cheap tricks like cross-dressing that usually work in other movies can't fool anyone in this movie. Here, the secret agents are caught before they can unite, and the good guys are able to carry out their plans only because they're allowed to. From the very beginning of the movie, we see the complete superiority of the antagonists. They control any situation. They cannot be deceived. And it all begins, of course, with Hans Landa. When Hans Landa arrives at the French farmhouse, he already knows that Farmer is harboring Jews. Landa loves rumors because facts are easily confused, and rumors, whether true or false, give away the truth. He has asked the neighbors about the farmer and his daughters. He knows that he speaks English. He knows the names of all members of the Jewish family, maybe even seen their family photo. Landa's just playing with the farmer. He likes to talk, enjoys his wit. Tarantino emphasized that Landa doesn't smoke a pipe. He only smokes cigarettes. But in this scene, he obviously uses it as part of his intellectual game. Compares himself to Sherlock Holmes, as if to say, I know you're lying to me. He knew where the Jewish family was as soon as he stepped outside the house. You've seen Landa likes to pander to his inflated ego. He likes to interrogate people. He likes to mock them. He's proud of his unofficial title of Jewish hunter. And yet, even though he knows the Jewish family is hiding under the floorboards, he proceeds to interrogate them, claiming it's a mere formality. When he interrogates Shoshana, he tells her the same thing. The same thing, that it's just a formality. Landa's a first-rate detective. He knows the names of all the bastards. He's got a great memory for faces. He easily recognizes Stiglitz and Wilhelm Wicke, and when Landa begins his classic interrogation, he knows that there is something wrong with Shoshana. He knows everything about the owners of the cinema. He knows that they didn't have a niece. He knows that the cinema employs a black projectionist named Marcel, and what's more, he realizes that Shoshana is the same girl he let go. For such a brilliant detective, it is not very difficult to determine the identity of a person, even after 4 years. Gans starts to mock her just like he mocked La Petite. He orders her a glass of milk, a hint that she's from a dairy farm. The day her family died, Landa drank milk. On top of that, Hans orders a strudel with cream. In the first half of the 20th century, strudels were often cooked with melted fat instead of butter, especially in wartime. So he orders her a completely non-kosher strudel. Strudel that Jews wouldn't normally eat under normal circumstances, but he's asking for cream on top of it. Jewish culture doesn't allow them to eat animal products with dairy products. Moreover, not every Jew would drink milk prepared by a non-Jew. Landa hints that he's on to her. I know you're with the dairy, and I know you're a Jew. Jewish. He sees right through her. Meanwhile, Shoshana eats just one bite of strudel, and further taunting her, Hans offers her a cigarette, pointing out that they are German cigarettes, and then he gives her his hard stare, just like Mr. Lapidite. Hans lets go, and because at that moment a plan was born in his mind. Events unfolding in June of the 44th, the German High Command had already realized that the war was lost, and Landa realized that switching sides was the only acceptable outcome for him. It would be to his advantage. He expected to be able to contact the Americans or the British and help them win the war, thereby ensuring a decent life for himself. But Landa did not count on Shoshana alone. When watching the movie, one may wonder how Bridget von Hammersmark knew that Hitler would attend the gala premiere of The Nation's Pride. It was not standard practice to announce Hitler's itinerary to movie stars and other visitors. For obvious security reasons, such information was only available to only ministers, generals, and Hans Landa, who was in charge of security for the event. Landa leaks this information so that someone will pass it on to the bastards. To know that all German leaders would be in one place, so that he could then take advantage of the situation when they killed the guts of the Aryan nation. It's Landa who has the most to gain from this arrangement. Remember the scene in the movie theater. In the movie theater, as in the previous two interrogations, Hans Landa already knows everything he needs to know. He is fooling around with bastards. He knows everything. They know everything. The situation looks extremely awkward when Bridget von Hammersmark tries to justify herself. Hans laughs heartily when he hears her blatantly stupid excuse. The most logical thing for her to say was that she broke her leg falling down the stairs. That's what Landa expected Hammersmark to say, not that she was mountain climbing. From such a ridiculous legend, he couldn't help himself. He was always one step ahead. In every interrogation scene, he saw through his opponent. And just as importantly, the interrogation didn't look like an interrogation. He was playing mind games. In the episode in the movie theater, he already had a fully laid out plan. He had already captured Yutovich, prepared wine and 3 glasses for himself, Yutovich and Rain. Prepared everything for negotiations with the Americans. If the bastards failed, he had a backup plan, Shoshana. The British general said that the movie operation was the brainchild of Bridget von Hammersmark, but in fact, it was the brainchild of Hans Landa, who saw an opportunity and decided to defect to the Americans since the war was almost lost. At the beginning of the film, he is proud of his unofficial title, Hunter of Jews. At the end, he says that it is ridiculous, that he is a detective. He is looking for people, and yes, working for the SS, he had to look for Jews. He tries to clear his reputation before he gets to the Americans, but as emphasizes Yutovich, his nickname stuck so hard that you cannot wash it off.